Let me go. Oh, no.
I'd like to call the village board meeting for the Village of Cary for Tuesday, September 1st, 2015 to order with roll call, please.
McAlpine. Here. Kraus.
Here.
Dudek.
Here.
Cavelli.
Here.
Chapman.
Here. Thank you. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to entertain a motion to allow trustee Jim Kostler to attend tonight's village board meeting via teleconferencing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
McAlpine. Yes. Kraus.
Yes.
Dudek. Oh,
Yes.
Cavelli.
Yes.
Chapman.
Thank you. Jim, you're with us?
I am. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Sure. I will now move to the public forum where the public is invited to make an issue-oriented comment on any matter of public concern not otherwise on the agenda. Did we have anybody sign in? No. Jennifer, did you have something to say?
I just had a question. I just wanted further clarification if there's going to be Section 8 in the PEDCor facility that's pending, or is it just low income?
I'm sorry, I don't understand your question.
So with the pending PEDCor facility, is there going to be any percentage that's going to be 10% that I had heard of? Is that going to be Section 8, or is it all low income housing? I was just trying to find out more information about it.
It's all low-income housing. There can be a possibility of Section 8, just like in anywhere else throughout the town, but there is no dedicated percentage that was brought to our attention that they would have Section 8 housing.
Okay, because somebody I was talking to said that there would be 10% possibly of Section 8.
No.
And can you just tell me the difference between Section 8 and low-income housing?
The difference between our project or the pending project or whatever the project may be, Section 8 is subsidized by HUD, Housing and Urban Development. This project is self-funded through the residents that live there. They're able to get a lower rent because the project up front was given IRS tax credits that they sold to banks, so they're able to borrow money at a substantially lower rate. So they pass along the savings to the residents.
Okay. So the people that are in Section 8, they don't have to have a job, though?
I don't know about that, but part of the qualifications to live in the project that's being presented here is you have to be employed. You have to pass a background check, you pass a criminal check, sexual background check, and you have to work.
Unless they say that there is going to be a percentage for Section 8.
They haven't told us that there was going to be a percentage. As a matter of fact, I think that was brought up in one of the original conversations. Nobody that rents any type of an apartment can turn away anybody that has Section 8 vouchers. There are residents that I know that have come to talk to me that live in neighborhoods that they get Section 8 vouchers, which is through HUD, Housing and Urban Development. And that's paid for through the federal government. This project, I would say a majority of that project would be all self-sustained residents paying their own way.
Okay. All right. That was my question. Thanks.
Gene Gorman?
Sure.
Did you want to address the village board?
No, but
Sure.
first, want my name and address?
I have 727 Eldon.
Right. I know it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. First of all, I'd like to compliment the public service people that did a great job last year on the snow and ice on the streets. Just unbelievable. I used to live in Carpentersville, and they did a good job, and you guys did a better job than Carpentersville. Maybe because it's my street was plowed, but I did get around, I did see everything. And I just compliment this city on everything. You guys have been so great. I've been here 5 years. I've owned a house now for 3 years. And just Carrie is great. And this Pedcore thing, it's not right. I guess that's it. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that'd like to address the village board? We'll go ahead and close public forum. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the August 18th, 2015 Committee of the Whole meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Cavelli?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Kraus?
Abstain.
Dudek?
Yes.
Counselor?
Jim?
Is he not there?
Jim, are you there? Do you want to try bringing him up again?
Chapman?
Yes.
What do we,
I think Jacob's going to try to get
Okay.
Jim.
Take a pass, he can pass on that.
Okay. All right, moving along. I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the August 18th, 2015 Village Board meeting.
so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mellon was
Okay.
the first, and then Kim in second.
Okay.
Roll call, please.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Cavelli?
Yes.
Dudek?
Yes.
Kraus?
Abstain.
Chapman?
Yes.
Counselor?
He's,
Yeah.
we have a cutoff. And I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the August 25th, 2015 Special Village Board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Kraus?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Cavelli?
Yes.
Dudek?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving ahead to the mayor's report, I'm going to interject something first that, due to the circumstances today and Fox Lake, I'd just like to observe a moment of silence for a fallen lieutenant that was serving the village of Fox River or Fox Lake, and his life was taken by people that I have absolutely no idea what they're thinking. And I know that I would like to thank our chief of police for the outstanding service you do to our community. I know that it doesn't get said enough, and also to Sergeant Cavelli of the Lincolnshire Police Department. It's a tough day for her and her family, and it's just, I think it just, we need to take a step back and realize what our police departments do for us. And don't take it for granted. Thank them next time you see them. And I'd just like to take a moment of silence, if we can just acknowledge that, please. Thank you. You will all be in our prayers, I can assure you that. And now moving along to the Maplewood School update, committee update, I was hoping Trustee McAlpine could kind of give us a brief overview of your last meeting, please.
Sure. When we had our meeting, we just set an agenda and some goals with regards to how are we going to move forward with addressing the future possible developments and sale of the property. And we established that, of course, we're an advisory board, so our goal is to gather information and make sure we share the boards, work in cooperation with each other. And we did identify that for the next meeting, that the school board is going to be bringing some of the financial aspects towards the meeting so that we will have that information available. At the same time, the village board will be bringing the comprehensive plan so that we can get all on the same board and acclimated with where we're at and how we move forward in a positive direction together.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Trustee McAlpine?
Sure.
Is there anybody, or was there thought about having somebody from the Park District on that?
You know what, I think that was brought up, and I'd have to double check with Ryan Coleman to look at that, but I think that there wasn't necessarily interest on that avenue, but I'd have to go back and, I think that's a question for Brian or
I will
Chris
comment.
Michael.
I was at we have created 3 years, the Intergovernmental Cooperating Group. My quarterly meeting was today. We meet with all the school superintendents, the other executive directors from the taxing bodies, the fire chief, police chief, myself. And we gave a report at that committee meeting about thanking District 26 for their intergovernmental cooperation. And, Dan Jones from the Park District was there. They're aware of what's going on. They're staying in touch with me, in the committee. So if there's a need for them to be there, I mean, they can be. It's a public meeting. Anyone can attend. We posted it public. So that's the answer.
All right, Ellen, with the interest in the section of the community where the school is there, with them looking at recreational opportunities and things, I think it's something maybe your committee might want to talk about. The other thing was, as an advisory committee, you're gathering information. Are you then advising the school district about what to do or possibilities of what to do?
Do you want to answer that, Chris, or do you want me to try? Okay. My understanding is the goal is that we're going to gather some information, come back and share it here, and then as we come to a consensus, we're going to be able to relay the information back and forth. Just like the members representing the school board are not going to be making any decisions. They're going to come back with what have we talked with, speak with their boards directly, and then come back and monthly, we're setting up to meet on a monthly basis at this point. So we're not per se providing the advice. We're going to come as representing the board, talk to the board about what's coming up, and then as a board, we'll make some advice based on what our board is thinking.
Okay.
What's the goal? What's the end game? I've never heard that outlined yet.
I don't know that the bottom line is the school district has the right to sell the property to whomever they choose. But I think that the end goal would be that whatever that entity winds up being, that as a village, we're going to be on board with who's coming in so that the development can proceed, whatever would happen with the property. So that we're working cooperation for the end goal to help the school district get rid of a property that they're looking to get rid of. Does that sound, that's my understanding of what the goal
I think it's a way also for the both boards to continuously be transparent so that there's a free-flowing set of facts and information that we can rely on, rather than hearsay or, people are saying this or that. We have people that are interested in listening to what is being proposed, and that way we could, advise them as to, what is seeing in from a village perspective, code, zoning, whatever the case may be. That's my understanding of what it is as well.
Do we know, and Ellen, it might be too soon for you to even answer this because you may not know, but Chris, perhaps you know. My recollection is that one of the school board's continual comments about wanting to get this back on the tax roll is a loss of the income that they've been having for however many years it's been a school. And there was, I think initially, some hesitancy on the part of the school board to perhaps even consider selling it to another tax exempt body because they wouldn't then get that property back on the tax rolls. I guess my question would be is I'd like to understand, do they have any idea of what they're even giving up? So, if you had a 200-unit apartment complex, or if you had 55 townhomes, or if you had retail, there'd be some level of taxes that would be generated by that. Do they have any?
What I can answer is that at the next committee meeting, their finance director is bringing financial models to the table with various scenarios of development to address that specific issue as a discussion point, to comment on their viewpoint of the need for some development on the site. And the village board is just listening and learning from the standpoint of their business case for why. And I think that's a good mechanism for that to be then, after debated, discussed, understood, talked about by others. And that's the point of the process. They do understand it. They do want to develop it. I believe at the time, right now, they're preparing to bid the property. And will they wait for this process? I don't know. This board doesn't control that. But, they're certainly very close to a point where they could just head to the street and bid it out. So,
You're talking about put it up for sale again?
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
In a sealed bid process.
Really?
So, yeah. And so that's why I think it's important for these meetings to continue, and Trustee Kostler and McAlpine have been helpful in pushing it along, so.
I think if their board is bringing forward to them some kind of models in terms of revenue generated by their development, I would like to see the same kind of model then presented to us. Because my understanding from the last proposal that was here, I saw in the paper was $700,000 for the taxing bodies in the community to be divided up amongst ourselves. But the Village of Cary only gets about 5.13% of that tax. So that would be about $35,000 for an apartment complex that size, which wouldn't even pay for the police officer. So I'd like to see some of the numbers come back in terms of how it impacts us and our revenue stream, as opposed to just what the school district is going to be getting.
How much was this, Jeff, just out of curiosity, because I did not see that. Do you recall what the school district was going to be getting from that?
Well, it would, I'd have to look at I think it was like 250,000 and then maybe 155 and 26 get the biggest proportion of it. So it'd be about 550,000, I think, goes to those two entities. I'm just throwing numbers out there, so don't quote me on them, when this goes on YouTube. But
Well, 72% of $550,000,
Okay.
so.
So a big number
yeah,
based on that example.
as
Okay.
opposed to our small number.
Okay. Any other questions for Maplewood? Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda items number 1 through 4.
So moved?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Chapman?
Yes.
McAlpine?
Yes.
Cavelli?
Yes.
Dudak?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving forward with the administrator's report, we're going to talk about trick-or-treating hours.
Thank you, Mayor. The chief and I actually are with you. It's your decision. We like to confirm this every year. We have tweaked the schedule a bit. This year, what's interesting is it's a Saturday. Typically, the consensus of the board has been 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. We wanted to bring it to you for feedback. The calls that we do, we get quite a few calls about this, and some from the children, but also from folks that don't want to have the hours be too late because they'd like to do something else. So that 3 to 8 has been kind of a bridge, but the Saturday aspect is what we wanted to talk to you about. So I wanted to open it up to the floor for discussion, and once you decide, then we'll start communicating the message.
Chief, you have any input on this? I know it's the highlight of
Both
your...
here and there, where I came from, it's one of the areas that I've gotten beat up the most on, is trick-or-treating hours and making bad decisions related to the way people think, especially on a Saturday. I know if you leave the hours too long, then people feel obligated to stay at home and they can't get whatever they wanted done in terms of errands and things of that nature. But, to keep it, I've been, received comments in regards to the older kids like the trick-or-treat at night, so we have to extend it into the evening. So I thought with maybe the collective ideology or brain here, we could come up with the exact perfect hours.
And we're waiting for that.
Yeah.
3 to 8 is probably appropriate
Any
and
issues?
allows people to get their things done before,
The chamber holds their event downtown too, don't they? What time would
Just
that
left.
be? I know he just left, so
Yeah.
Is it the same day?
I'm not sure. I would
Is it-
assume so.
I don't think so.
Usually we do
No.
it the week before, it's usually a week
Yeah.
before, so it's not
Oh,
usually the
And
same day.
they've not done that they usually do it in the shopping center now. I think that they're going to continue
Yeah,
to
they
do it in the
do it in
shopping
Jewel.
In
center.
Jewel now, not
Oh,
downtown,
okay.
we started
Right.
last year in Jewel.
Oh, this is September.
Yeah, last year they did it through, from Dunkin' Donuts to over by the
Kind of an exposure down there.
physical therapy.
Oh, okay.
So they walked the whole length of that shopping center. So that's what they did last year. It worked out pretty well, and it was perfect weather, and, I took credit for the perfect weather. So.
So is everybody in agreement that we could stick with the 3 to 8? Everybody good with that?
I can tell you the last time it was on a Saturday, people were out at noon, with their little kids, so.
And that,
Are you going to
Yes,
arrest
that-
anybody if they show up, little goblins that are out
No.
at 2 o'clock?
No.
no, it's advisory at best. Yeah, but certainly
We'll go with the official
we
3 to 8
Yes.
work.
I'd prefer 1 to 6.
We'll be directing all the calls to trustee Kraus then.
Just like kids are going to go out early, there are going to be people going late anyways, too.
Well, that's why you'll be-
Actually, they do a pretty good job, honestly. I've lived here 25 years and 26 years coming up on, and they've done a pretty good job of adhering to the, we might get a couple stragglers every once in a while, but that's pretty good.
I'm just trying to get
3 to
rid of
8.
3 to 8, you're good. Is that all? Okay. Jake, you have anything else for during the board meeting? Okay, great. Is there any future agenda items in discussion by the village board?
I do have something. I'd like to place for consideration a review of establishing appropriate guidelines for covering the absentee call-in of trustees into either committee of the whole or village board meetings.
May I ask, in essence, bring the ordinance back with some alternatives, or?
Well, my experience in a relatively short period of time is a significant amount of call-ins by one village board member. And I recognize that there may be challenges at work that relate to those, but this ain't working. And I think the participation by a trustee should be, this is my own personal opinion, should be in person, and it should be done in this sort of forum. And I'm just concerned that our present ordinance doesn't address really any guidelines, in my opinion, appropriate guidelines for participation. So I'd like to have a discussion on it.
Is there anything else?
I'm still going to bring up that I think we need to address social media.
Yeah.
May we discuss that? I felt as though we did not have consensus of the board to have a presentation. I have had discussions with the speaker and had a tentative date for a special meeting proposed that has some flexibility, but the week on or near September 21st has been reserved, but I didn't feel like we had a consensus of the trustees, so I held off. We had discussed the concept of having someone come in to speak to us about municipal policies in the area and some of the public use of social media vis-a-vis some of the issues about employee or trustee use of social media. And that was the concept, but I didn't feel like the trustees, through my polling, told me to bring it forward. So if that's not correct, then please advise.
To me, I'd like to have a vote on it and see where it sits. I'm not aware of your conversations because I haven't had them with any trustees. So to me, if I'm in favor of a policy for social media, I'm 1 out of 6 or potentially 7. So how do you make that determination, I guess?
That was designed to be the point. I mean, it had been called up off the floor more than once, and the idea was to bring someone in that can help us, that advises municipalities throughout the area about these sorts of issues. And
can I ask you a question? So based on the email, I think or not email, but on the information you provided us, it's under your signing authority, is it not, the expenditure?
yes, I mean, the idea was, a couple hour, expense to have a visit.
So I have to defer to you as the village administrator, and you've got experience in other towns, some much larger than ours and more sophisticated, more than likely. In your opinion, as our guider, so to speak, do you feel that would be something we would benefit from? And if you feel that way and it's under your expenditure, let's get somebody to talk to us about it, regardless of what the board feels. This is something you think is best for this community. It's under your signing authority. Do it.
Okay, I just felt that we should have some consensus about the approach.
But you may never get that. And so because you don't have a consensus, you don't move forward on something that doesn't make sense. If it's in your signing authority and you feel it's necessary for this town in order to move forward, I would suggest you do it.
Appreciate that feedback. I'll make the decision.
I'll also point out that Friday at the IML conference, there is, during the day, governing in the age of social media. And we had talked about, this is open for any and all trustees to attend. I would hope everybody would. It was great classes and things, and for me to find out a lot of things. And so I'd encourage everybody to look and find some things and then come down. It's excellent training, so. It's an agenda item on the IML conference, so, I mean, it's not that it's out there in, from left field.
Well, let's be clear. I'll have Attorney Tappendorf, who I spoke to from Ansel Glink earlier this week. I'll pin down a date and poll so that we can have a session on that. Most likely, I want to make sure schedules permit it, but I'll make it as convenient as possible, and was designing it to be part of a workshop that would tie to economic development as well. So we had two subjects to discuss in more detail. So thank you.
Chris, can I just say, I do appreciate that you asked us for our opinion on something like that, because if you don't have consensus from the board, and it's potentially a money saver that we can save this village, I do appreciate that you take the time and ask us our opinion, because in this instance, we may not have a consensus, so I understand you have to do what you have to do. But in other instances where we do have a consensus, where it's something we don't need, I think it's great that you reach out to us, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion to adjourn into executive session to discuss personnel, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of a specific employee and collective bargaining.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to return from executive session.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.